This is Aaron, and I am the host of the Wise podcast. We officially launched our podcast on the 1st of this year, and we will continue launching episodes every other week as we are rolling this out in a soft launch until we are at a place where we feel comfortable releasing one episode a week. And our tentative timeline for that is around the beginning of March. So in between releasing episodes on those off weeks, we will be releasing little video episodes like this where we will be answering questions or explaining anything that we feel needs to be explained as we continue furthering on in the podcast. So Alexander is currently away on a 3-week business trip, so you are getting me. And I wanted to just briefly go over where you can get the podcast, where it's available, and also touch upon what our Patreon page is. So, of course, our podcast is available on iTunes if you just search Wise. It's also available on our YouTube channel or searching Wise on YouTube. And we also have a Facebook page where you can like our podcast and get updates, and we post our embedded YouTube podcast in there. So if you go to that page and you're looking for the podcast to listen to, you may have to click on the show more posts because we will be continuing updating that page with other information other than just the podcast episodes. And of course, you guys can go to our wise-wise.com website, which you will then be able to stream the audio right from there. So now getting into our Patreon site. So for those of you who don't know what Patreon is, it's a platform where artists can come together and collaborate with fans and touch fans that they may not be able to have access to if it wasn't for this type of platform. And these artists will basically put their art out there for free. And anybody who feels inclined to donate to them to support their art can do so. And the artists can actually set up levels of rewards for individual donation amounts. So, for example, you can have like a level for $2, a level for $5, a level for $10. And if somebody signs up for one of those levels, they get a specific perk or reward for doing so. And so we have set this up so you can visit it at patreon.com/wisewise. So that's patreon.com. And of course, wise without a dash there. And I just wanted to go over what kind of perks we have set up for you guys. So our $2 level donation is you guys get access or exclusive access to exclusive content that we will be creating on a monthly basis, and which will be only able to be seen by our Patreon subscribers. And this applies to any level within our Patreon account. So a lot of these rewards are like a lot of the lower tiers you also get as you sign up for a higher tier. So for instance, if you sign up for the $5 tier, you also get the perks in the $2 tier. And I'll go through it in a minute. So the $2 level, you get exclusive access, which basically anybody who signs up gets automatically exclusive content, exclusive access. So anytime we create something and just post it to our Patreon page, you will have access to that. And we will give you a shout out on one of our episodes. We're going to try to do this on a monthly basis. And because we actually record and edit a few episodes ahead of time, if you sign up for any level, you probably won't hear your shout out for another 3 or 4 episodes. So just keep that in mind. So again, the $2 level, you get exclusive access and a shout out. So our next level is the $5 level, and we call it group therapy. So we have created a Facebook group that is private, and if you subscribe to the $5 level, you will get into this Facebook group. And basically we set it up so that you guys can interact with Alexander and myself, as well as other people on this same journey, doing the same philosophy, listening to the podcast. And I really, really like this idea because we can learn a lot from each other. And like Alexander has said in the past, and will say in the podcast over and over again, this philosophy is not to be dictated. So it's not a thing where he thinks he's right about all this. It's basically sharing through his experiences and through his knowledge. He's which is actually his definition of wisdom. Through his wisdom, he is sharing the information that he's I guess curated. And if anybody has had experiences or accumulated knowledge, and they feel that there's a different way of doing things, or that he may not have something correct, he welcomes a healthy challenge to this information. We don't want to get into an ego competition, but if anybody is curious or wants to question some of his things, he welcomes that. And again, of course, we want to keep it on a philosophy-based level where we're not challenging each other to the point where, we're getting our egos involved. So this group therapy, I think, is really going to help with that. With whether we're discussing different things that we've figured out in our lives, or if we have questions for Alexander, or if you have questions for myself, because I will be sharing my experiences throughout this podcast, and Alexander and I will be, of course, discussing back and forth about those. But I also like it because, as some of you know, Alexander uses the human design and the destiny card systems so that we can learn a lot about ourselves and know what kind of energy surrounds us in our day-to-day, month-to-month, cycle-to-cycle parts of our lives. And I think it's really going to be fun once we get a lot of people in the group to see people that have the same birthday or destiny card, birth card, planetary ruling card as you, and to see sort of the parallels that run within your lives with each other, or the differences. And I feel like you will have a sort of a connection with that person because you guys do share, the same card. Or whether if it's human design, kind of getting a data collection of all the generators, how they feel about a certain issue, or all the manifesting generators, how they feel about a certain issue. And this is only going to help Alexander more refine his philosophy, because we will have access and communication to all these people and all this data. So right now, Alexander and I have been kind of bouncing ideas off each other on some of this philosophy. One being, he's noticed that as a generator, if he has something in the works, like for instance, a year ago, when him and I were working on this podcast, he came to me and said, I'm not telling anybody that I'm working on this because I feel that in my life, if I have told somebody that I'm planning on doing something, it usually falls through. And I was like, you know what? I have the same thing. And because I've done this so much where, and again, this is a little bit of the 3 energy that I have, but I've worked on these projects and been passionate about them and started telling people about them, and then something always happened to make it fall through. And then I felt like an idiot when I saw them the next time. They're like, oh yeah, so how's this? And I'm like, well, I'm not really doing that anymore. And that's happened over and over and over again in my life. So Alexander and I have been discussing that and trying to figure out, like, what is it? Is it a generator trait? Is it, maybe it's something else in the human design, like one of the chakra points, whether it's activated or not. We don't know. So right now we're leaning more towards a generator thing, but it would be very interesting to get more information from a group so we could say, hey, all generators, has this played a role in your life? And then we can get that answer and think about it. So I'm really looking forward to the group. So if you're out there and that feels like something you want to do, please sign up. We want you in that group. So moving on, in our $15 level, we have Alexander's music and his reports. So Alexander has reports that you can purchase from him. Of course, he has the human design reports, but the Destiny card reports that go yearly. You can also do like a relationship type report. And for those of you who don't know what the Destiny cards are, it's sort of an Egyptian numerology type of system. It does, in my experience, I see kind of astrology overlapping the numerology parts. So it's really interesting to me when you look up your astrology and you look up your horoscope and you look at your numerology, it all kind of overlaps, and that it's a little mind-blowing to me, but it seems like there's something out there that you can't deny. There's some energy out there that's playing a role in your life based on, when you were born. And I don't know if science is still saying that that's BS, but there's something there. And you can just see it overlapping in all these systems. So anyway, you can get yearly reports from Alexander as well as his entire music collection. So he has meditation CDs that if you've been to a sound journey, he has for sale. So you get access to all of that. And you get basically an ongoing 15% off coupon to Verities Apparel, my apparel company. So that means you get that off anything that's in our online store. And so we will be adding Alexander collection to that at some point, but I also have my own line of consciously derived artwork on there, and a lot of it jives with this whole philosophy. So you guys can check that out. And on that level, you also get access to the Facebook group, and you get the exclusive content and the shout out. So as we go, all that applies. So next is the $25 reward level, and this is what we're calling the audio video interaction, where once a month you will receive a 3 to 5 minute audio or video response to one question. So again, it's gonna fall on whatever's easier for us at the time. Of course, as we get more people, we will have to schedule these, and depends on our schedules. But so you will get a 3 to 5 minute answer to a question. And you also get the music reports, Facebook group access, shout out, and exclusive access to anything we post on our Patreon account. So then we move on to the $50 level. And this is my favorite level because I feel like I'm going to be able to pour a lot of creative energy into this. I think Alexander will play a smaller part, so this will mostly be just me. But I will be creating an exclusive piece of memorabilia once a month and sending it out. So this will mostly be physical things like maybe an exclusive Wise shirt, or exclusive maybe Alexander quote shirt, or sticker set, or we may even get to a point where we're doing like signature pieces of our notebook on when we started. You can get a piece of history. Maybe when there's more demand for our time and this podcast really takes off, that will be more wanted. But things like that. And I've always wanted to do like a silk screen limited edition poster. And I think that's probably in the works. Alexander and I could come up with some design that kind of flows with the philosophy. And I can like hand screen print it, where each one will just have its own intricacies. Each one will be its own thing. And it'll be limited edition, so there'll only be so many made. So of course, with that level, you don't get the 3 to 5 minute audio or video question, but you do get the report and music level, and with the coupon, the Facebook group, and the exclusive access and shout out. And then the top tier is the $75 level, which is a private session with Alexander. And this gets you a 30-minute private session a month with Alexander, and that is over the phone or over Skype or one of those tools. And these can vary from a relationship reading, or if you want to start a sort of like counseling relationship or personal growth or mentoring, any type of that type of thing, you have freedom of choice for the topic. And with that, you also get the audio video interaction with you don't get the audio and video. You get the report and music coupon level, as well as the group therapy and the exclusive access and shout out. So that's what we're offering on our Patreon account. And of course, we're doing this where we're asking for donations, and we've decided to release all this content for free because we want the information out there. But we do have a desire to do this more often than not. So right now we're doing it once a week where we're recording an episode, and then we're putting a lot of energy into actually editing the episode and make it sound good, make it sound professional, make it sound so it's easily digested, because that's what our culture likes and wants nowadays. It wants perfection. So I guess I've brought some of that perfectionist attitude to the podcast, because I think if it was up to Alexander, he would just want it just a free-flowing conversation. We may get to the point where we can actually do that without a lot of editing. But right now, this is where we are. And so we would like to do this more often, maybe release 2 episodes a week, or maybe even find a different format or platform where we can put this information out there, whether it's doing a YouTube live video once a week as well as doing the podcast or something like that. We are open to the possibilities, but because Alexander and I have our own separate things, he still has private consultations that he does, and he does sound journeys, and he's touring around the North Carolina Triad area doing that, and he's going to be touring outside this region as well in the near future. And I have Verities going on and other podcasts that I'm doing. So our time is limited, but if there's a demand for it, if people want to donate and support us, we are willing to take more time out of our lives or other things that we're doing and put it towards this. So we're letting you guys choose, how often we do this. We just need support. And we're not begging for monetary donations. I just want to say that. In no way are we begging for it, because if you like the information in this podcast, the best thing you can do to support us is to share it. And because the more like-minded people that get this information, it's going to grow exponentially. And then the people who are financially able to support us monetarily will do so, and everybody will benefit. So just sharing the podcast benefits everybody. So just want to say that, because I don't want to come off that that we're really looking for money. We're really just looking for an energetic exchange, whereas if there's anything in this podcast that resonates with you and that changes your perspective and benefits your life, if you could just send us some energy back by either liking our posts, leaving a YouTube comment, liking YouTube, sharing our videos. That's the best way we can help spread this message, because when this information spreads, it's only going to benefit you as well as us. The more people who have access to this information, the more people who are going to continue to change their perspectives, work on themselves, manage their emotions, and then become examples for other people. And the more examples we have out there doing emotional responsibility, conscious communication, the more other people are going to see and be around those vibrations. And again, it's only going to create a domino effect, where I think that's the best way we can change the world. I think I mentioned in my bio, if you guys have listened to that I kind of came from a conspiracy background. I was into all that, and I still think about that stuff, and I like to ponder it all. But the best way is not violence. It's not to be angry at all these. If there are people out there trying to make us sick or keep us in poverty, it doesn't make sense to be angry at them, because they're in a position where they have a different perspective as us, and that doesn't make it wrong. Nobody can say that their perspective is 100% correct for everybody out there. So coming from that conspiracy mindset, I want to say this was a little bit of a relief, but also it made sense, I think, where, as Gandhi said, be the change you want to be. So obviously, if you want the world to be a peaceful place, you cannot be spreading fear and anger. That doesn't make any sense. Anger and violence against angry and violent people is never going to result in peace. It's not. So just think about that. I mean, I don't know if you guys out there have gotten to that place or not, but this is something to think about. So I guess I'm going to wrap this up for now, but if you guys want to check out our Patreon again, check that out. We really appreciate anything you do there. But please like our Facebook, interact with us, leave comments on YouTube. And I'll be back again in another couple weeks, and I'll have some other information for you. But next week we will be releasing episode 2. So look forward to that. Thank you guys. Really appreciate your support.